Today we are going to talk about one of the most confusing issues in real estate, dual agency. What is dual agency? How should I think about this? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? You'll hear this term be thrown out a lot, dual agency. I don't blanket think that dual agency is a bad thing. The first kind of dual agency I'm okay with, and that is where there's two agents from the same brokerage, and that is one form of dual agency. It's like under the brokerage umbrella, you have agent A and you have agent B, and agent A is representing the seller and agent B is representing the buyer, but they work under the same office, and so they work in the same brokerage. So that is dual agency because the same brokerage is helping both the buyer and the seller, but you each have your own agent, and they're each being this is an adversarial process, much like the American legal system, where like two sides come together and you come up with a result, right? And so that's one form of dual agency, where it's two agents, they happen to work under the same brokerage, but one agent is representing their client fiercely and another agent is representing their client fiercely. I have no problem with that situation. I'm okay with that. Where I start to have a problem is the single agent dual agent. It becomes very hard to be a single agent dual agent, where you are the one agent that is helping both the buyer and the seller to complete this transaction. Now, why do I say that this becomes problematic? Because I love analogies. If you've been watching these videos, you'll see that I like to use analogies. And so my favorite analogy for dual agency is this. If you were sued by someone, would you hire the same attorney to represent you as the attorney for the person that's suing you? Would you do that? No, you would not do that. Partially because it's illegal. So like when you go to hire an attorney, they're going to check for conflicts. And so one of the things that they're going to do is they're going to say, okay, let me check to make sure, what is the situation here? Who are you suing? And then they're going to check their records to see if they already have a pre-existing relationship with that person that you want to sue. And they may have to recuse themselves and say, I'm sorry, but I can't represent you because I already represent the person that you're trying to sue and I can't represent both sides. Well, it's no different for realtors, right? It's very hard for me to be representing my seller and then take off my seller representation hat and then go and represent my buyer. It's hard because I'm a human being and I can't partition my brain, right? When you are a realtor, you have the highest bar of professional relationship with your clients. You have a fiduciary relationship where you have to put their best interests ahead of your own. And that is hard to do when you're serving two masters, because I am in a position where I know what the seller wants. They're my client. I've listed this house. I know, like, we may have had conversations where I know how low they're willing to go on price. I know what terms they're looking for. I come over to the buyer and the buyer comes up, and so now I'm representing the buyer. So if I'm representing the buyer to the best of my ability, I would have to share with that buyer the stuff that I know about the seller. But that's illegal because I have a fiduciary relationship with that seller. Instead of becoming a really great tool for my seller or my buyer, I become a mealy-mouthed order taker, facilitator in the middle of these two people. And I can't really give great advice to either side, because if I do, I'm gonna hurt the other side who I also have a fiduciary relationship with. And so as an agent, you end up tying yourself up in pretzels, trying to do the right thing for both sides of the transaction. Now, it's also true that if I'm listing the house and then I meet a buyer, who do I have a closer relationship with? The seller who I've been working with for several months to try to get this result for them, or a buyer who I just met during an open house this afternoon? Where are my loyalties gonna lie? Are they gonna lie to that seller who I've known for a long time and built a relationship with? Or are they gonna be with this new person that I just met today? All of these things are considerations that are gonna come into play when it comes to dual agency. And I'm gonna say that as a human being, it's hard to be a dual agent. I'm not gonna say that it's never the right move, because, life is complicated and there are, rules are meant to be broken. And so I'm sure that there are examples out there where being a dual agent would be just fine if, both sides have kind of already kind of come to an agreement and you're just there to kind of be a facilitator. But at this point of the conversation, I'm gonna bring up something that actually happened to me earlier this week, where I did a rare thing that you will not hear a real estate agent say very often. I talked myself out of a job. I'm a proponent of using the right tool for the right job, right? And so when this landlord and this tenant came up to me to posit that I helped them with this situation, I don't feel that I was the right tool for that job. Like, I feel like I would be extracting value out of them and not providing enough back, because as a dual agent, I won't be able to fiercely do my job as I see fit. And so part of that conversation with the seller was, all right, even if you get an appraisal, do you really know what you would have gotten for your property on the open market if you had dolled it all up and gotten it ready for prime time and then gotten your reports done and launched it on the market? Would you get the same result as you would from an appraisal of the house just exactly as it is right now with no prep work at all and no inspections done? I don't know which one you'd get more value out of, but we'll never know unless we actually launch it out onto the open market. And so when you launch a property onto the market, interesting things can happen. None of us have a crystal ball that will tell us the future. If we did, hey, we'd be the best real estate brokerage in town, right? We get everything right, but that's just not reality. And so you have to come up with a plan and then enact the plan. And when you enact the plan, strange things can happen. And maybe you get 2 or 3 people that all want that property and they bid up the price on their own. So that can never happen if you are just selling to your tenant. And so I have to give great advice to my clients because I want them to come back. Like the reason I had this opportunity in the first place is because I did a great job for a client several years ago and they remembered my name and put me forward for this next job. I'm going to tell you honestly when you call me, am I the right tool for this job? Or is there a way that you can accomplish what you're trying to accomplish with less money out of your pocket? And if there's a way for you to do that, I'm gonna tell you how to do it. For that reason, if you want honest representation and you want somebody to really tell you the best way to accomplish what it is, I'll give you my honest take. And if you don't like it, you can go to the next person and get their honest take and you choose who you want to sell your property. But I'm not the guy that's gonna blow smoke and try to get every opportunity. I'm the guy that's gonna give you my honest take. And if I'm the right tool for the job, let's go do this. If I'm not the right tool for the job, I'm gonna send you on the way to the right person that's gonna be able to help you. That's just who my kids. In this video, we were talking about dual agency, but a unique thing happened as a result of the lawsuit that happened a couple of years ago that broke the MLS offer of compensation. So there is a new category of buyer and seller out there, the unrepresented buyer or seller. So there's always been for sale by owners, but the new thing that has come to town is the for buy by buyers. So there are buyers out there in the world that do not want an agent. They want to pocket the money. They don't want to be represented. They want to represent themselves, and that's fine. They can do that in this new world. Now, it doesn't happen that often. So in our brokerage, I asked my regional vice president before I taped this video, I wanted to know the real stats. And so it's only happened a handful of times in the last 2 years where a buyer has come unrepresented and then been able to complete a transaction. And usually there's some type of attorney or something involved in the process to help smooth that out. But that's a new thing. And so there are for buy by buyers that come out there in the world. And so as a seller, you need to be prepared for that eventuality. And what do you do if a person comes and wants to buy your property but does not know the rules of engagement and does not have access to the proper forms to write an offer for you? What are you going to do in that situation? So be sure you talk to your listing agent and have a plan for what you're going to do if an unrepresented buyer shows up and wants to make an offer on your house. And if you have any questions or want to come up with a plan, give me a call. I'm here to help.